program. And if we get any questions, there's 2 people in our webinar. Hello, welcome. Hi, Andy. Hi, Nicole. It's good to see you here. Dr. Perez is here. And if we get any questions. All right. Okay, we are ready. Here we go. There is prerequisite dancing involved when you hear this theme song. I just want you to know ahead of time so that you can participate fully. Here we go. Nope. Nope. We're going to do that again. Hey, take 2, everybody. Been doing this all day. I would have it down by now, but apparently not. Welcome, everyone, to our webinar. We are starting over and now. Here we go. One more time. Welcome to Arts Week 2021. This is our inaugural event. We are so glad you are here. This is our special webinar event for the evening. We are featuring our VAPA programs and our VAPA teacher. VAPA stands for Visual and Performing Arts. All of our visual art teachers, our theater art teachers, our music teachers, and speech and debate is here tonight to talk to you. Did I say music as well? Yes. And tell us about why we do what we do. And we're also going to show you a little bit about all of our programs. But first, a couple of credits. We have our Arts Week logo for the week is drawn or was designed by Lily C2. She's a senior at Gabriel High School in the graphic design class with Terry Hopper. Our Arts Week theme song that you just heard was arranged, performed, and recorded by 7th grade student at Johnny Romero, who's a band student of Nate Coynes at Jefferson Middle School. Our Arts Week promo video, which is on the website, first thing you see when you enter our website, was done by Gabriel Martinez, also a senior at Gab. And all of the social media promotion that you've been seeing lately has been done by our PRISM internship. PRISM stands for Public Relations, Information, and Social Media. This event is the first time we've done anything like this, and it's been a couple years in the making. It's an initiative from our VAPA strategic plan that was implemented in June 19th. It is the purpose of this event is to foster creativity in our community and to promote arts education throughout San Gabriel Unified. It is also a way to bring some money in to support the arts. So we are asking for sponsorships and donations. We thank those who have donated so far, and we hope that you will consider supporting the arts. 100% of all the proceeds goes directly to help further our strategic plan that is public for viewing. You can see it on our VAPA website at sgusdvapa.org. Okay, so we have some awesome people here, and we're just going to go right around the room and introduce ourselves, starting with Esther.
Hi, I'm Esther Minwari. I am the Jefferson Middle School Orchestra Director. I'm also the Elementary Music Coordinator for the district. And yeah, glad to be here.
Hello, my name is Melissa Romero. I'm the Band and Orchestra Director at Gabriel High School.
My name's Emmett Seuss, and I teach Intro to Art, Intermediate Drawing and Painting, and Advanced Art at Gabriel High School. and we work in many different media. We work 2D and 3D, digital and traditional.
So technical. Hi, everybody. My name is JC Gafford. I teach Drama 1 and Drama 2 at Gabrielino. I am also the drama director at Gabrielino.
Hi, my name is Terry Hopper, and I'm a visual arts teacher at Gabrielino. I teach ceramics, advanced ceramics, graphic design, and intro to art.
Hi, I'm David Pitts, and I'm the choir director and music appreciation at Gabrielino.
Hi, I'm Nate Coyne. I am the band director and fifth grade band director at Jefferson and elementary schools.
Hi, I'm Rachel Chu, and I'm the choir director at Jefferson, as well as the fifth grade strings program.
Hi, my name is Derek, and I am in charge of speech and debate at Gabrielino High School.
Hi, I'm Mix Ross, and I teach visual arts at Gabrielino High School. I teach intro, printmaking, printmaking 2, motion, motion 2, and 3 AP studio art courses.
Awesome. I'm so glad you all are here. If you are attending live in the webinar and you'd like to ask somebody a question, please feel free to utilize the chat. We'll be monitoring it throughout. If you can also post this on social media with the hashtag SGUSD Arts Week. We would love the promotion, but also it's a good way to ask a question there too. We'd love to answer it. All right, we're going to start with a video that shows just basically an overview of our programs that everybody here has run. And this video is a lot of what we call our normal. So it's a lot of things that were done in the past, before COVID, with a few sprinklings of the modern twists that we're doing today. But I thought it would be the best way to sort of give you an idea of what we do as a program. So here we go. Checking myself because nope, we did it.
This is it. This is the day I make my legacy.
I should have prepared you guys a little bit for that. I think I may have made some of you a little emotional, possibly. I know it's been a year without a lot of that stuff, and we've had to pivot to do it online, and it's been incredible watching all of you do that. But man, when you watch it like that, it's like wow. So I'm getting emotional. Anyway. Let's see. In the chat, we've got Nate. Remember when we went on field trips? Yes, absolutely. And thank you, Dr. Perez. That's awesome. Okay, so the best way, now that you see what we all do, what everybody does in a normal situation, and throughout this week, you'll see every one of these fabulous teachers presenting more in depth on their program. This morning, we've already seen Terry Hopper in her class this morning, and then Esther Minwary shared an amazing project that she did in collaboration with AUSD this afternoon. And we've got more every day this week. There she is. Hi, Miss Kwan. We've got more every day this week that you'll have a chance to go way more in depth into student projects and student work. I thought that the best way that we could get to know our teachers as humans is to ask them their why. So I'm going to pose this prompt to all of my teachers here that are here today. And then we're just going to go around and answer it. So the prompt is, why did you choose arts education to pursue as a career? And why do you think arts education is important for young people? And then as you answer it, please just kind of talk a little bit about what we can expect to see during your segment this week. Now, anybody want to go first?
I'll start. Because it's still going in my head from this afternoon. Don't want to lose it because I lose it so quickly. So I went into music because of music, not necessarily to be a music educator. But I love it so much that I love what I do. And I started teaching as a private teacher, and I found that found this magical connection when I can see students understand the magic of music as well. And that feeling was actually that feeling had more depth to me than actually making the music even sometimes. I still like to play. I still like to play in orchestras. I love playing chamber music. But I I work well with middle schoolers, and I think I'm still mentally a middle schooler, so I fit that that age group.
can confirm
and 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 having taught all the different age groups, I found that I connect best with them, and I sort of gravitate towards that connection, and then helping them go out of their shell and moving them forward and giving them these tools to find their own ways, and finding their own path to their own lives and their careers. And to me, learning music is like learning how to live life. There's so many connections between that the creative process, and I think it's learning the arts, right? It doesn't have to be music. It's learning the arts in general that I find is so relatable to life, that that I'm able to work with the students to kind of carry that knowledge beyond the content that I'm teaching. And I find that, I guess, to be more important to me than sometimes the content itself. Which, not to diminish the meaning of the content, because I think that part allows the students to express themselves in many ways that they can't otherwise express, either in words or in math or in science. Not that those content areas are not also creative, but the musical creation, the creativity, just I guess I just like seeing kids being creative, and I like to help them on their way.
Thank you, Esther. Absolutely. Anyone feeling strongly about going next, or
I'll go ahead and go.
all right, David, thank you.
First, I want to tell you that video at the very beginning, that was my choir in the hall. And that has been I'll come back to it. It's been emotional, that video. My reason why is I grew up, my dad's a singer and actor, and I grew up the first 20 years of my life watching him on stage do musical theater. And so just exposed to music at a very young age, and always found a way to be involved in choir. And I was really fortunate that I had just a lot of really incredible directors that I sing for. And I was really strange, because when I was in 7th grade, I knew what I was going to do. I decided when I was in 7th grade, I was going to be a high school choir director. And it's growing up doing choir, and basically I just saw what it could do for students. All the arts gives them a place to belong. And sometimes it's those kids who have a hard time finding a place to belong, find a place to belong in the arts. And so it was like another family. And I loved music. And so that was the thing that just really drew me in. And like I said, it was mainly those mentors that I had growing up singing in choir. But yeah, that video at the beginning, we were preparing for festival, and it was a really, really hard song. And when I first introduced it, those kids are like, we'll never perform this for festival. We won't be able to do it. And that was March 11th. And they had just gotten to a point of where they were nailing the song, where they were getting it. And they wanted to be out in the hall because it had great acoustics, because that type of music is, we're talking medieval times, and it had been done in a huge cathedral. And so they were excited that they accomplished it, and we're looking forward to doing it in festival. So that was special to us.
Thank you, David. I probably should have warned you. You forget what that video does to us. How about you, Kat?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Hey. I chose art after really like struggling in college to figure out what would keep me engaged for the rest of my life. Like, I was really good at math. I started as a math major, really liked science. It was just pretty good stuff. I kept turning back to art because it was challenging. There's rigor there. And I felt like I could do this my whole life and always have something more to learn and investigate and grow in. It's so vast. And I thought that would be entertaining for a lifetime. And so I chose art because it's inspiring, because it's challenging, because it's fun. I've always liked teaching. I really like organizing information. I'm super geeky like that. Like, I just love it when information is so clear and orderly and beautifully arranged. This is a great field for me because it like blends these two parts of my personality really well. And I think I feel inspired by students' artwork a lot. And when you're working all by yourself, you don't get that input from other people where you're like surprised by what happened in the same way. And so not only do I love teaching and I like imparting knowledge, but I really like seeing what other people create and being surprised by the choices that they make in a good way, right? Like, that you can't always anticipate what someone's going to do with your prompt. And it's exciting to see the changes that happen in your mind when you don't anticipate that in advance. So art for me is a passion, but it's also just like practical too. Like, I really love job security, and teaching is so much more secure than being a fine artist, like hustling. I don't like schmoozing, I don't. So this worked for me in that way too. Like, it works for my family, it works for me personally. It's like a really great career. I can't believe more people don't do it. It's so good, guys, it's so good. Yeah. I mean, I see all these other people, they're like teachers and they go into administration, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I'm so glad that's for you. It's not for me. I love my job. It's so much better over here on my side of things. But I love you guys all so dearly over there on your side of things. If you come back tomorrow, you can listen to me talk about my classes. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be me and Sam, and we're gonna talk about my classes. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be so hilarious. Oh, I'll see you then.
Thank you, Kat. Kat, you have all the AP art, let's see, 2D and 3D?
And drawing. There are 3 AP Studio exams, There's AP 2D, AP 3D, and AP drawing.
Awesome. 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 Thank you, Kat. I will just say, as an administrator who used to say the same thing as you, I could not believe that any arts teacher would ever leave teaching to go to administration and be like, man, I think the only administrative job I could do is the one I'm doing, to be honest with you. But I do relate to that statement 100%. Absolutely. It's such a fantastic job. It's hardly working. Although we should stop talking about that. All right, we're gonna go on around the room. Let's see, Derek. Derek, you wanna tell us your why?
You know, the hard part about the why is the why started like in the late 1900s. I mean, like this is a long, long time ago. I mean, it's like now you like I can't remember what we did before quarantine, and now, but I guess it started out. I was in speech when I was in high school, and it was just some kid came up to me and said, one of my friends, and he was like, hey, you want to join the speech team? I'm like, I don't know. What do you guys do? And he said, we give speeches. And I was like, that's awesome. I'll go do it. I had no idea what I was doing. I walk in and I say hi to the coach, and I'm supposed to do speech. She signed me up for a tournament that Saturday. I showed up, and when I was in high school, I wore like a concert t-shirt and jeans to school every day. So I thought, well, this would be great. I'll go to the tournament. I'm going to dress up a little bit. I'm going to wear like button-up shirt and loafers. I walked in the first day, first tournament ever, first round. All these kids are in suits. I was like, oh, I'm in the wrong place. Went up, had to apologize to the coach. I was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, no, I'm so sorry that we didn't tell you. Right. So now you look like 30 years later, and here I am, I'm coaching and telling the kids the same thing. But it didn't start out as going into teaching. I mean, my whole family's teaching. My uncle taught for like 33 years. He was a music teacher. My dad taught technology. My cousin teaches math. My little brother's an elementary teacher and he's union president. So it's like, it's a whole conglomerate. I was supposed to be a teacher. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I was sitting at Purdue University upset at Christmas break because all my friends went to Florida and I didn't get to go, and it's like snowing outside. It's horrible. And so I'm watching television back in the late 1900s. There were only like 50 channels instead of 500. And so I'm flipping through them. I'm like, there's nothing on television. And I tell my roommate, I'm like, I could do a better show than this. 6 months later, I found a production company. I'm doing my own television show. I graduated from Purdue. And as soon as I have the means, I am out of the snow-filled, cold, tornado Midwest. And I move out to Los Angeles, right? I'm like 2 executive producer signatures away from hosting a nationally syndicated television show. And I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. And of course, like most things in Hollywood, it totally fell flat. Next thing I know, somebody's calling me up saying, you should go to this Gabrielino school. They need a speech coach. You coached for a long time back in the Midwest. It's like, okay, fine. So I'll go and I do the interview. And I remember them telling me, I remember Dan Mooney telling me years ago, he's like, this is the 4th year of the school, right? We're in bungalows. As a matter of fact, the classroom that I'm going to be teaching at isn't even on campus yet. Like, it's still being made at some place before they chuck it in. And so he tells me, he said, the principal says, last year our football team didn't win a single game and no one cared. But the speech team was decent and everybody was upset. They wanted it to be really, really good. We need a really good team. And so I said, okay, fine. The very first year that we're there, I accept the job, and I'm at back to school night. The only question I get asked, I've only been teaching. My contract was like, the ink wasn't dry on the paper. One parent asked a question, are we going to win the league championship? I said, I have no idea. Like, I don't even know the kids' names. Like, this is a mediocre team, it's like middle of the league. The principal, Dan Mooney, happens to be in the classroom at the time in the back. He says, I'm telling you right now, this guy's going to win it for us. And I was, what the heck? This is my first teaching job out here in California. I don't even have a California credential at this point in time. Well, we won. We won the league championship, and we won 24 in a row. So, I mean, it's pretty cool that we did that. But I'm telling you, the only reason we're able to do it is because we have so much support. And if you think about speech, like, it's the greatest thing in the world. Like, you start with this idea. Like, some kid comes in and says, I want to do a speech about aviation. Okay. 9 months later, they're on stage at the national final round in front of like 2,800 people and all kinds of people on live stream. And the whole thing has come together. So it's like a little movie. So even though I was going to do a television show and you have to start with an idea, then you move it, same thing happens in speech. You start with this little idea and all of a sudden it blossoms into something cool. And let me tell you, somebody asked me what the curriculum was for speech. I'm like, it changes every year because every kid comes in with like a new idea and then you have to work around there. But it's been fun. And so, I mean, you sit there and think 30 years of coaching, and when I still get fired up about it, I think I did the right thing.
What does this guy teach?
I actually don't teach anything. I'm a facilitator of learning.
Derek, how many kids are you bringing to your segment that are going to actually perform for us live?
6. We'll have 6,
6.
and they're only doing like 2 or 3 minutes of their speech. They're little teasers just to give you like, it's like going to Baskin and Robbins and trying all of the different flavors. Cause you feel guilty after you like pick the second or the third spoon, but this way, then you're going to get 6 different flavors.
That's so great. I can't wait. And you are, let's see, you're Thursday?
No, we are Wednesday at 2:00.
Wednesday at 2:15. Awesome. Thank you for remembering your own schedule. I swear it's in here somewhere. Thank you so much, Derek. That was awesome. 24 league championships in a row. Just won 24th, right?
Correct.
Congratulations. That is that's absolutely stunningly remarkable. And that's quite a story too, the way you started out. That's awesome. All right, let's see. What about Rachel?
I was hoping you'd like run out of time and then I'll be at the end. It'll be great. Okay. Well, wow. This is a hard one because I didn't grow up in this country. I grew up in Singapore, and where I was, everybody had to learn something or other. But I was drawn to music since I was a very young kid. Went to school in some form of fashion where they had a music program, sort of like an immersion program, but they tracked us separately. So if you're in arts, you're in music, you're in whatever. And I did that, and I was in orchestra. I was, I don't think I ever stopped doing music. So I didn't come here thinking I was going to be teaching. I came here like Esther, thinking I'd be performing and looking at doing music, essentially. I love chamber music. I did chamber music. Truth be told, I never even sung in choir until much later. So music overall was my thing. And I think when I started to teach, I think I started at LACSA, and I was there really as an accompanist initially. But then I ended up teaching music theory, no problem for me, and it was like a bug. Okay, once it catches you, you can't let go. It gets clawed into your skin, and then you go, I'm making something happen. It's something clicking in the kids' brains, and all of a sudden you see light bulbs, and then you start to see like expressions change because it made sense. Wow. And then I was like, okay, well, I like that. And then I just kept, my mom was an art teacher, an English teacher. But I always said, I'll never be like Mom, please. Of course, there I am doing. I'm really happy where I am right now. I mean, I cannot believe, I think one of the biggest impacts I have that's made on me is seeing the changes in the kids, right? And seeing how they started with nothing or they didn't know much. I get to see that, for example, in beginning strings in the 5th grade. Hold up an instrument and you just pray they don't break anything, and then they hope that they don't drop, which they seem to do a lot. They have the broken strings. They don't know what to do with that stick, right? They hold it like a lightsaber. And at one point, I remember trying to stop a bunch of kids from fighting with lightsaber bows, you know. But then to be able to perform and see their faces light up, absolutely crazy. And then as I moved into watching my choir kids, you know, I started out in this weird little position at Jefferson. I was part orchestra, part choir, part strings in 5th grade, and I moved into a lot more of the choir, and I started to see what we could do with our kids. We started to move out of just performing. I watched them work with other people in other schools. We did collab stuff. We took them to City of Hope. Okay, this is where it gets me, right? We're performing at City of Hope. And oh gosh, no emotion. Sorry, I'm starting to get emotional. We were at City of Hope and we sang outside one room and a kid was passing away. And the parents came out to thank us because we were able to help the child pass along. And my kids could not believe the power of music for these people, for the people who were listening. It was an impact on them. It was impact on, we sang at a convalescent home and watched the elderly light up and grab the hands of my students, asking them not to leave. I don't know. You know, when we watched the video at the beginning, I think that's the hardest part, realizing the impact we have on everybody. Music transcends everything. It is not just a language, but it's an emotion, and it's a feeling, and it's a memory. It's like, you know, it's like smell. You can remember things. Well, music does the same thing. And I saw faces light up. I will never give that up. I could not possibly give that up. And I think I only found out after the fact, when people reacted to music that I was either playing or teaching or showing, that I understood the impact of it. My daughter loves music and she ended up being a tenor sax, sings in college. OMG. I mean, I can't get her. I'm so proud. She's actually singing in the choir at Davis. I'm like, what? She signed up as a music minor now. I was like, what? She went in as an environmental toxicologist. Okay. Total shit. So no, I did this because of the power of the music.
It's beautifully said, Rachel. Absolutely beautifully said. Who wants to follow that? How about you, JC?
Oh, all right, I guess. I need to try to tap into Derek's low energy here, see if I can bring something up from that. So for me, I actually started out of an interest of music. My entire family is musical. My aunt wrote the theme to Beretta, if you're old enough to remember, the detective with the cockatoo. I've always loved music. I was a published poet in 7th grade, so I've always been writing. So I went to LA Valley College to become Prince because he's my #1 musician. And my accompanist, and here's a little shout out to community colleges and the things that they can bring to one's life. The accompanist for that class was serving as musical director in the theater department for a production of Once Upon a Mattress, which is the show that Carol Burnett became a star from. So I had never, when I was in high school, I was introverted. There was no theater. Forget it. If I was in a room with the stage, I was at the other end of it in one of the red seats. I was not on stage, not interested. No way, forget it. So because this guy showed some interest in me, And because he recognized some talent that I had in a field I was interested in, I was overtaken and I ran with it. So I went to the theater department and I auditioned. Lo and behold, I made it to callbacks. Not that I knew what that was or what that was about, but here I do. I have a callback and okay, I'm going to show up and do this thing called a callback. So I show up and they hand me what we call a side, which is basically a portion of the script. And I'm like, okay, this is great. What do I do with this? And they said, you go in front of the director on stage and you read it, you perform it. I'm like, oh, well, all right. So, okay, so I did that. And I made it to the final round of callbacks. And it turned out that he was considering me for the lead part, the part of the minstrel, which was amazing. But I ended up in the choir, in the chorus. And I remember my blocking. Give me 1 second to get into character. Are you ready? That was my blocking. I was a lookout on the North Tower. Yeah. But I fell in love with it. I fell in love with theater people. I fell in love with theater arts. I fell in love with all of it. I performed in a whole lot of shows. I became a director. I excelled at it. It was the first A's that I ever got. I ended up on the dean's list. And that's when I fell in love with being a student. And it changed everything. I started working professionally before I even finished my education. In fact, I got hired to do a light design for a theater show in Hollywood. And I ended up getting a really great review, and I'll never forget it. The reviewer said that my design was astute. So I walk in the next day, and the lighting design teacher, my mentor, his name was Pete Parkin. I walk in. Now, I had not seen the review yet. I didn't know that it was out, but he had seen it because he's a theater guy. So I walk in the room and he says, oh, JC, I guess you're very astute. And he started harassing me about astute. And he waited until the class started. And then as soon as everybody was there, he then announced that the review came out and I was, the reviewer thought my design was astute. So I went from there to Cal Arts, where I continued. I got into some technical things there. Yeah, Cal Arts. Woo! You don't want to go there for football, but anything else. And again, I'm working professionally the whole time. And I sort of fell into it. And I was working on 3, 4, 5 shows at a time, some at school, some professionally. And then I ended up going to NYU because they were the only school in the country that had an ed theater program, an educational theater program, which is about using dramatic techniques and theories to teach core subject areas, special ed and EL stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, if I'm gonna get a master's degree, then that's gotta be what it is, because, that's what I do. So I did that, graduated 3.9, came back, got my teaching credential and all that. And then I slipped into Gab as a after-school CTE stagecraft instructor. I built up that program from 7 students to over 30. And we expanded from Stagecraft 1 to Stagecraft 1 and Stagecraft 2. And then there was an issue with the teacher and I ended up taking over his drama class. And so that sort of launched me in drama. And then recently my predecessor retired, so I ended up taking over the program. And it's been thrilling. It's been very exciting. We just created last semester. In fact, I got a little emotional too from the video, Sam. Thank you for 65 Mustang and Rideshare Overshare that Mr. Pitts collaborated with me on. Those were the inaugural plays that we did in the Gene Murphy Black Box Theater, which now exists on the Gabrielino campus. Unfortunately, we didn't really have an opportunity to do a proper ceremony for that, but we will. And yeah, I could never not do arts. It took me many years to learn about myself that if I'm not doing some sort of artistic thing, writing a song, recording something, making a show, directing something, I fall into a horrible depression. I can't not have art. I have to be doing art at all times. Something, I've got to have something creative going at all times. And I guess, I mean, well, there's two reasons why I do it. A lot of, I mean, I want to echo a lot of what you guys said. You know, Rachel, what you said was so beautiful about those students. And yeah, when you discover a new talent and when they get up in front of you and you just go, wow, where has this been? It's mind-blowing. It's just, I mean, it's just, you can't describe the sensation. I mean, I imagine with the graphic arts people, the visual arts people, I mean, when you have a student who creates this amazing work and you see it, it's like, oh my God, where have you been hiding? Where, you know, you've been talking to them all semester, you've been working with them all semester, and all of a sudden they perform and you're blown away. And actually tomorrow at 5:15, I will be discussing a really exciting project that we're doing this semester. I felt very frustrated after the first semester because I didn't know my students. I knew their names and I knew their faces in a waffle on my screen, but I didn't really know them. I had no insight about them. I had no interaction with them. So I basically just threw out everything that I normally do in semester 2. And I just brought in a whole new thing that would allow me to interact with them one-on-one. So we're doing a thing called the SDP, Student Driven Project, where they have all chosen an area, an aspect of drama to focus on: costume design, voiceover, women film directors, Japanese drama, comedy, horror genre. I mean, you name it, and I've got some students studying it. And we put together a art gallery, which basically is a Google slide deck template. And I had all the students create an installation in one of the rooms. And it's Miss Tyson and I worked together on Friday to pick the best. And then I plugged in some other ones. And Miss Tyson, you don't know, but I actually spent a lot of, well, not a lot of time, in the whole weekend, making installations in the hallways that explain the various projects that everybody's going to see. So now when you come in and look at this art gallery, you're going to get a little thing about what the SDP is. And then you go into each student's room, they explain their SDP, but there's also artifacts from other things in class that we did. And then in the hallways are explanations of that. And it has been fantastic because it's allowed me to work one-on-one. When the project started, I met alone with every single student to plan what they wanted to do. And then every week they maintain a journal about their progress. I read the journals every week. I leave them a Mote note. And if you don't know about Mote, it's fantastic. It gives you a minute and a half to leave an audio comment that you can paste to anything. Super fantastic, has changed everything for me. So they all get me talking and being my clowny self, giving them comments about their journal entries and the progress. And I know my students now. I know them and I know what they're about. And man, have we flushed out some talent. Tomorrow, you will meet a couple of my top students, and oh my God, these kids, they have blown me away. They have blown me away. And there's just nothing like that. So
That's so great, JC.
that's
Thank you.
that's my story.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Nate, how about you?
Sure. I'd like to piggyback off JC's thing by saying when he said, when the kids get to that point and all of a sudden they've produced this thing and you're like, where has that been? That's what you said. Like, and I think Esther, hopefully you can remember that moment last year. That happened last year, and before COVID started, of course, with the kids at Jefferson. You know, we had been pushing to the concert, and I know I'm kind of like not really jumping into the question right away, but this kind of sums it up. But like, it's that moment for the kids, for me, is why I teach. You know, we had been pushing to the concert for so long, and I had this feeling that they really weren't sure what they were capable of yet. And then all of a sudden, in rehearsal, we got to the final chord in this piece that we were doing. And it just suddenly, intonation just locked in throughout the whole band. And it was like, 2 minutes before the class ends, of course. And you're just like, I stop and I'm just like, everybody, did you just hear that? Like, take that in for a second. And Esther even heard it next door because she didn't have class during my particular class, and she came over when she heard it, and we talked about it afterwards. It was like, that was like the moment for the kids that year. It was like, this is what it's about. This is like the whole thing. This is why we do this. And I started out, originally I went into music in college because I really enjoyed playing and I wanted to get better at playing personally. And I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with it, but I had really good teachers in high school and really good teachers in college, and it just eventually led to doing what I'm doing now. It wasn't a question as to how much teaching I would be doing. It was more of a question of where, I guess. And yeah, I mean, that's really the thing that I like to bring back to the kids for me is those moments, because it's those moments that I've had performing that I want the kids to realize they're capable of making those moments happen. And it's really special. I mean, even if it doesn't happen on the concert, it's just making the work to that point, knowing that they're capable of working so hard and finally seeing this like horizon at the top of the mountain that they've been climbing for 10 weeks or however long. Sorry, my cat's bothering me. My cat's coming to say hi. And yeah, I mean, it's just like that whole, it's really about that trip for me, and that's why I teach. And seeing those videos at the beginning, it's like, yeah, man, I hadn't seen anything like that in a while that, I was a part of live. And it's like, man, we've been in this tunnel for so long. We gotta get back to it soon because we're missing it big time. But yeah, so that's why I teach, for those moments.
Thank you, Nate.
Yeah.
How about Terry?
Okay, so can I just say whatever all those other people just said? I come to this career as a teacher as a second career teacher. I was always an artist, but not always a teacher. I knew I wanted to be an artist since I was a little kid, and I was the first person on either side of my family going to college, and going to art school was a struggle because I'm not supposed to do something else, right? So I made a bargain with my dad. I have a minor in marketing because he thought you'll never be an artist, so you got to have a fallback. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I started my career as a graphic designer, and I worked as a creative director. I ran a director of creative services department for in the 90s for LA Gear, and I worked for cable companies and Max Factor Cosmetics. I worked on the client side a lot, and I worked in an industry where you got laid off every 2 years, and it was horrible. And I loved being creative. And after the last time, I was just like, I can't do this. I can't live my life. And I come from a family of teachers, and I'm not like any of them. And there was no way that I was going to be a teacher, just because they all knew I was going to be. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to be like you. No. And the last time I got laid off, I was so upset, and I woke up in the middle of the night And I went, huh, I think I'm going to be an art teacher. And I was like, well, that was weird. And I was so afraid to tell my mom because she was going to be like, I told you so, but whatever. So I went and got my credential and I got a master's degree in art education. And I never had a job where I'd wake up excited to go to work in the morning. And this job, well, except for this year, prior to this year, I'd wake up so excited to go to work, and like I would talk to friends and nobody loved their job and I loved my job, and I thought, well, this is weird. I have a job I love. I mean, I never realized how rare that was until all of you. And when you meet people who get to share their passion with little people and teenagers, which are my favorite, who I miss more than anything right now, it's kind of a gift. And I feel really lucky. And I cannot wait to see them in person. Teaching ceramics over Zoom is really hard. So that's my why, because I get to wake up in the morning and make art all day. That's all.
That's awesome. Thank you, Terry. How about Emmett?
All right. It's funny how similar our stories are. It takes a little bit of courage to decide that art is where you fit. And often you run into people who want to talk you out of that because you need to be more practical. But I start all of my classes with an activity where the students have to create an artist bio, and that's so that they have a chance to reflect on who they are and what's important to them. And that's what happened to me real early, real young, is that I was amazed by imagination. I loved creativity, and I had insatiable curiosity. And so I just trusted that, and I followed it straight to art school. And I didn't know, I thought I was going to be, I got a Disney scholarship and I thought I was going to be an animator. And then the practical things that you don't realize are things like animators sit. And I have an attention deficit. So it was like, I forgot that that's a sitting job. And so while I was at school, I had to decide what path to go on. And the people who attend, who enroll in the fine arts schools at an art college are just the most amazing, interesting people and curious like you wouldn't believe. So I found a connection with those people because we like to sit around and think before we create. And so I just followed that, and I feel I'm glad that I had the courage to do that. And then, like what Kat and Terry were saying, artists are an interesting group of people, but what I discovered was so are educators. And educators always want to learn something new, and they're always speaking of something interesting. So if you have a curiosity and you do like to learn and grow, and that's your passion, the arts never end. The arts are endless, and you will be entertained every single day. And then, like Terry was saying, to wake up and look forward to your day is such a blessing. And it's so interesting how so much of the emotions have come up with us tonight, and it isn't just because of the pandemic and the challenges of going through the year. The artist is in touch with those emotions. They put it into their art. So what you're seeing tonight is a bunch of emotional people talking about how much they love what they do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Emmett. That was very beautifully put. All right, Melissa, I know what it's like to be the very last person to answer a question, so I thank you for your patience all this time, but it is now your turn. Please let us know
All right,
what's your
no
why?
problem. So I actually feel like my why changes every so often. I can definitely say it is much different for this year than it has been in past years. I actually decided on a career in music pretty late in life. I went to Pasadena City College first and stuck around there for probably longer than I should have before I transferred, but didn't have any idea what I wanted to do in mind. I played around with something in political science for a little while, and I was like, all right, girl, you got to get it together. So I just kind of did some soul searching, and I had always been involved in music. I started playing. I played, my first instrument was violin in the 3rd grade, and I don't know how they let me continue on because I was terrible at it. And then in the 4th grade, we got to pick our own instruments, and I picked clarinet because my mom played clarinet and she had actually held on to her instrument. So my entire time through school, up until I got to PCC, I actually played my mom's instrument, which was pretty cool, and I still have it. So when I was deciding on, getting it together, I was like, music, yeah, we could do that. But I was not dedicated enough to be any sort of performance major. I could not see myself spending 25 hours a day in a practice room. And then I thought back about my time in music and thought about all of the teachers that I had, good and bad. And I can say that because they're probably not on this webinar. But I did, throughout my years in school, have some really terrible teachers. And it's strange to say, but I think both the good and the bad teachers shaped the teacher that I am and the way I am with my kids. I don't carry the bad stuff, I promise. But I know, what it feels like to not have the greatest teacher and not be prepared as you move on to different levels. I was not prepared as a musician, moving from some of the elementary to middle to high, all of that. And so I was like, I can do this, I can teach. And so I went through school, and like I said, it took me a little longer to get started, and ended up getting the job at Gab. So Gab's my one and only school I had been at after being a substitute for Alhambra Unified for a few years. Think I actually went to a middle school teacher, and I
Melissa,
did
you
my
might have the
student
camera
teaching
off.
at a middle school. I would leave. This is not my age group. I did, and I think where I have where the part that I love is being able to see them for multiple years and see them come in as these shy freshmen, just like lost in a new world of high school, and watch them through the 4 years that I have them just like grow as musicians and people, even if they don't, pursue music in college. I don't remember which one of you had already said this, but like teaching them bigger lessons than just music is kind of my standard that I try. And I think the best part of one of the best parts is being able to see students graduate and like continue to be a part of their lives even after they've graduated. I mean, I've gone to kids' college graduations. I've been to a student who graduated from the Marines, and be able to see like them move on and still keep in touch and see where they are now is one of the most rewarding things. So yeah, my why, it continues to change, definitely has been tested this year. Just like everybody else's. I miss my kids terribly. And I can't wait to get back to doing what we do. Tomorrow, my little segment at 2:15, if you come, we're going to talk about obviously our process in virtual ensembles and how that has worked for us. And then we've gotten to spread our wings a little bit and get involved with some other projects that have been really fun. So I'm excited to talk about that tomorrow.
Wait till you've been around long enough to hold their babies. It's coming. I've been there.
Yep. Oh, that's great. I think the average length of time that this whole group of people have been in SGUSD, we're talking at least 10 years average, right? We've all, Nate's our newest probably, and we go from 2 years to 25. Anyway, we've got a lot of established teachers here, and I I hope I hope I hope this has been as rewarding for you as it has been for me. I think that um, to piggyback on something I think Emmett said was about educators being a unique people. From my experience, I've found educators to be innately hopeful human beings. No matter what, we're going to take what we have and find a way to help this person reach their potential. That requires innate hopefulness, which is an amazing environment to be in if you've ever been in another environment that is not full of educators. And then on top of that, artists and creative teachers are dealing with the soul and the emotion and the creativity of a human being. So put that together and you have a remarkable human. And I've always believed that behind the programs that are amazing and the products that you see that are amazing and the concerts that are phenomenal and these amazing artworks and our national qualifying speech championships, that's the product. But the process to get to that product requires humans to be there guiding that along. And so I hope that my goal of putting all of these humans together in this room to reveal to you who they are has been as impactful as it has been for me. In the chat, we have several quotes here from Albert Einstein. Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution. It's one of my favorite quotes too, Esther. Thank you for putting that. I thought if you have a question, please put it in the chat. But I wanted to end our segment here with something from, thank you, Dr. Perez. These humans are truly a gift to our district and most importantly, our students. Thank you all. Absolutely. It is Arts in Education Month official. As declared by the US Senate, March is Arts in Education Month. And I thought I would end with something that the National Art Education Association put out this month to commemorate the month. 10 lessons that the arts teach children to make good judgment, that problems have more than one solution. Art celebrates multiple perspectives. They teach children that complex forms of problem-solving purposes are seldom fixed, but change with circumstance and opportunity. Requires the ability and a willingness to surrender to unanticipated possibilities as the work unfolds. That's leaning into ambiguity that we've been talking about throughout our district with the Portrait of a Graduate and developing resilience and grit. The arts make vivid the facts that neither words in their literal form nor numbers exhaust what we can know. The limits of our language do not define the limits of our cognition. The arts teach students that small differences have large effects, and you heard that kind of repeated through our talk today. The arts teach students to think through and within a material. All art forms employ some means through which images become real. The arts help children learn to say what cannot be said. A work of art helps them feel. They must reach into their poetic capacities to find the words that will do the job. The arts enable us to have experience we can have from no other source, and through such experience to discover the range and variety of what we are capable of feeling. And finally, and this is my favorite, the arts position in the school curriculum symbolizes to the young what adults believe is important. Okay, so that concludes our session today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will join us for the rest of our segments throughout the week. We have so many exciting things to show you and share with you. And if you miss a live segment, the recordings will be available on our YouTube channel. And then as soon as I can update the website, they'll be there and available for you as well. Thank you, JC. Okay, our final slides here have a couple thank yous. First of all, we have several volunteers that have helped us with Arts Week. Our art contest co-chairs, Jill Redding and Vanessa Pinedo. Our sponsorship and donation chair people, Andy Jiang and Cami Trong. I think Andy's here today. And then additional volunteers, Joanna Ward and Fan Chu. Special thank you to everyone who's been presenting and participating with Arts Week, to Gabriel High School Key Club for helping promote the event, to all of our art contest judges, which a couple of them are here on this panel tonight. Thank you so much for your time. And finally, and probably most importantly, our SGUSD governing board, who has been a huge supporter of visual and performing arts for our district and a big reason why this event is even happening. So thank you for that. Once again, we love sponsorships and donations. Please consider helping us out. Any amount is absolutely acceptable. Okay, that is it for tonight. You are welcome to reach out to any one of us on this panel at any time. You can find us on the district website or sgusdvapa.org. Thank you so much.